Let me do this intro right now, because this one could be good. We have a best of 5 in the China Team Championship preseason playoffs, the semi-finals. A Terran and a Zerg, legends of the game. In the bottom left, our red Terran player, INnoVation. And in the top right-hand side, our blue Zerg player, Solar. We're probably going to put this one up on YouTube, unless it's like a complete stomp. So we'd just like to take the chance to say, hello YouTube. I know we haven't talked in a while. Like, subscribe, and comment, you know the drill. More YouTube-only content coming soon. We've just had like a massive amount of stuff from the stream to upload, so we've not really had to make any YouTube-only content. Please forgive me. And with that, we focus up on the game. There we go. We have to talk to the YouTube viewers. They're being quite nice to me lately, so we gotta say hi to them every now and then as well, you know. How are we all doing, guys? Again, hope you're all doing fantastically. Hope you're all doing well. What a series this could be, this Terran versus Zerg, especially with the way that the Terran player, INnoVation, has been playing lately. We've seen him just decide to play this very slow style of just mech play, not really speed the game up much at all, and it's interesting because in a meta where all of a sudden a lot of the Terran players are choosing to play Bio instead, INnoVation has started to play a lot more mech and really stuck by the mech, so it's been an interesting little switch up from everybody else. It's been a switch up from like everybody else, and he's almost playing his own style of mech as well because he's playing it so slowly. You know, he's not eager to do anything, it's just slow. He doesn't care if the Zerg takes the entire map. Eventually, once he maxes out and gets a bank built up, he's going to start being aggressive. But again, he's in absolutely no rush to do that. It's pretty insane, actually, if you think about it. It's really a weird style. We'll see if we kind of get to see, and if we do, we've got a lot of time to talk about it, because like I said, it is slow, it is steady, nothing happens quickly, so we'll see, I suppose, as we get this setting up. Solar, on the other side, has been pretty good in ZVT lately. A couple of series losses to Cure, but yesterday in the series against Dream, he looked really good, just very strong, comfortable plays, just looked good throughout, so really was looking like a player to kind of keep a watchful. As we do have INnoVation in the bottom left-hand side, dropping down a 3rd CC already, going into the starport. And just a reminder that what he is doing is playing very greedy 3cc styles into the Fusion Core and the Battle Cruiser as a follow-up. So let's see if that is going to be following up here right about now, as we do see Blink Speed coming up, the new Possessed Carapace or Overlord Speed on the way. And we're just going to see this Reaper hopping out from the main base. Hey, first of all, pop a image in the chat, how you doing, dude? This month should be renamed January. I mean, I'm not against it. January is always great for us. We always cast so much StarCraft in January, and January has a ring to it. Maybe that'll be the name of our next year if we run a tournament in January. We'll just call it January, and we'll just have it happen every day. You know? Just as this Fusion Core comes down and the Overlord Speed checks in and sees the full scout, gets out of there with plenty of health left. Just before anything else really kicks off here, thank you so much, Bob Vernon, as well, with the $10 donation. Says, thank you for all the content I have consumed over the years. I need to donate much more, but this is at least a start. Well, dude, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Every little bit helps, dude. And $10 is very, very generous. I appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much. I'm glad you've enjoyed the content over the years. Here's to many more. Queen, it's at the front then, as we are going to be seeing the Reaper and the Hellions pushed away for the moment, so they're going to be kept back. As we do see the Roach Roaring dropping down, the Lair from Solar coming in the main base, so just getting this up and rolling, movement towards the Roach style. I think if Solar's going into this series, right, I'm pretty sure he's well aware of the fact that this is a matchup where INnoVation has been playing some very, very slow mech styles. And I'm pretty sure that because of that, Solar has no doubt. I mean, he scouted the Fusion Core on the starport, right? And I think that alone off the 3cc is news enough, but he rescouts just to check. He must have something of a plan here, right? Because again, it's not like INnoVation's been lying low and building up this style. He's been using this in IEM qualifiers and so on and so forth, so it's really out there. So there is no way Solar goes into this best of 5 without something of a plan of how he's going to deal with this very slow to build, slow to move out mech army. We will see a Spire dropping down from Solar. in the back of the natural, and just going to be seeing a few queens between the natural and the main base as well. A couple of refineries dropping down from INnoVation. And the Spire, obviously, is just going to be the go-to to kind of get rid of those battle cruisers initially. And this BC is going to come in and clean up Overlord number 1. So you don't actually teleport across the map with the first battle cruiser in this style. And the reason for that is because it's very difficult to be safe, right? Because it's a later BC, the lair can already be up, the Spire can already be building. Corruptors are out before your teleport comes off cooldown. So you fly across the map with battle cruiser number 1. Also meaning that you didn't really need to deal as much damage because you went 3cc before the BC anyways. So it's just kind of, you gotta be a bit safer based on what you're expecting Solo to have up, and it's definitely the right call. And you're just gonna hang back and wait for BC number 2 maybe even before he comes in. Or maybe just waiting for Yamato cannon at least so he knows he can come in, use the Yamato before he has to teleport away. So just coming into that, I'm also going to use a scan, push back a little bit of this creep spread. So a few creep spreads going down already. As we do have the +1 missile grid starting up from Solar as well. And the Queen's able to come through, pick up a transfuse on the Overlord. Now with the Corruptors on the way out, we see Solar very quickly going into the infestation bit. So we saw a lot of different styles between Rogue and Sue when these guys played against INnoVation, when he used this in the IEM qualifiers. And to say, I mean, what really worked was mostly Rogue being very kind of tech switching, you know, going from one tech choice to the other, just being very active, trying to deny economy. A lot of this actually came down to denying the 6th and 7th base of INnoVation, and that was kind of a crazy little something. Let's see what happens here, as you do see a couple of Yamatos going to line up, and those are instantly going to be 2 very dead Corruptors. As you do see this Queen taking some more damage, and then those BCs do teleport away. INnoVation did make some adjustments though when he played against Sordo, for example, in the round of 16 of this tournament, and he was much better at trying to scout what composition the Zerg is building up, if they are switching compositions, and so on and so forth. So that's something to keep in mind here as well. INnoVation definitely has been adjusting the style a little bit after he's played some games with it, and a couple of Cyclones out early before he went in towards the Siege Tank production. And those, while they don't have Magfield Accelerator, they still do add that bit of extra DPS just to push away that little bit of, push away those Corruptors a little bit more easily. So that is what we are seeing here so far. As we'll see a transfuse on one of these Corruptors, bringing it back up to health after it took a little bit of damage earlier on. Swarm Post on the way out here from Solar as well. 1-1 missile upgrades coming through, a couple extra Corruptors building in the main base. And as we set up across 5 bases here, we're going to be seeing the Infernal Pre-Igniter coming in from INnoVation, and that means the right sort of call as Swarm Post come onto the map. That's going to be Solar's way to be aggressive. Blue Flame is INnoVation's way to really deny that, so let's see how it goes. He actually sends a little bit of Hellion Cyclone down over here, just checking around for units. You're in the way for 4th base already, so obviously doesn't want to slow down going into that. And Solar is maxed out, so let's see how well he can end up trading in all of this. As we're going to be seeing, Hellion's just going to stay in Hellion mode. I guess he doesn't have smart servos, so no point kind of morphing in Hellbats when the Locusts are going to be dropping down anyways. Just going to keep them as Hellions for the moment. In the future, I imagine he will swap over towards Hellbats or so instead in those kind of fights. The DCs come in, they get a couple of Yamatos out. Remember, the more of these Corruptors you take down with the Yamatos, the less damage output on these BCs, and so these BCs really then can just hold their own. There's only going to be 3 of them, and this forces a few more Corruptors to come out here from Solar. He knows how many he wants to have, so he knows how many to move towards. See a little bit of creep spread pushing out from Solar out through into the center of the map. There go the Locusts, hopping up once again. Roaches and Ravagers taking their way through some rocks on the right-hand side. And again, with the Blue Flame here, these Hellbats just take down the Locusts very easily. Tanks will unsiege, a couple Sense Towers and a couple of Missile Turrets and Sense Tower will set up. INnoVation, again, he's very happy to just sit back and absorb this damage. He's in no rush to do anything. The BCs aren't moving out to try and harass just yet. He's just leaving everything at home, trying to defend this as well as he can. Really just making sure to make the most of the situation. 2 upgrades coming in from INnoVation as well. We'll see these Swarm Hosts out on the left-hand side. With the Roach Ravager Corruptor moving over this side as well. You're going to see the Locusts hopping up, and again, just trying to change direction. INnoVation just already moving over in position. Going to lose a Siege Tank here And actually going to lose the second one with the corrosive bowels coming down. Does Yamato and teleport away as expected. I mean, overall, you look at the resources lost, and INnoVation is still actually trading better. So even though he's losing a couple of units here and there, he's actually still getting better trades. A lot of that is the BCs Yamatoing down Corruptors where they can't, where there isn't much to do about it. That's nice. Actually, corrosive bowels down 3 goes all at once. Obviously, you do want to keep this wall up as INnoVation, even if it is taking damage. And something you want to try and keep on top of. There's a swarm host gathering back up over on the left-hand side. You can see these siege tanks set up in front of this planetary fortress as well, and a couple queens coming over. Some of the creep tube guns are going to start spreading around. Hellions going to move into the middle of the map and just take an opportunity to shut down some of this creep spread. Well, that means the locusts going in towards this base over here are going to be pretty, having a pretty great time. They're going to be left alone. I mean, this orbital will lift and these SCVs will be chased. As you see the 9 workers going down, orbital will drop back down, and yeah, just really seeing INnoVation kind of have some interesting moves there, because again, this is not typically what he does. He typically plays this very differently. Just saves the BC there, by the way, and gets his lock on to kill a extra corruptor too. He typically just does sit very much so back and make sure he absorbs every locust wave, but at the same time, 9 workers lost, I still don't think it's that much damage. He's still not in a bad spot, and he's still actually mining more than Zerg as well, with more workers. There was a little while where Solo was ahead on mining, but as the 4th base comes up and gets properly established, Solo's mining like a little bit more, so I'm a little bit wrong to say he's mining more. But he's mining a similar amount. When it's less than the 300 resource difference, it's good enough for INnoVation, who is, again, trading that a little bit better at the moment. So it's definitely costing Solo here. And you can see that Solo's a little bit of income lead, or the extra income lead earlier, is transitioning to a bank. And that's what INnoVation wants before he starts fighting here. He doesn't want to take a fight and be left bankless, because he knows at that point he's not going to be able to rebuild a full-on mech army, and that's where he really feels the power of this is. As we're going to be seeing these creep teamers going down. Corruptors flying in over to the left-hand side, and the BCs, well, first BC's going to go down. Actually, no teleports here, so getting a little overly aggressive. The Corruptors coming in and finding 1 kill. Second kill not just yet because, well, the Thors showed up and didn't want to stick around in the Thors. That's going to be a dead siege tank and not much else, right? I mean, Locust drop down, he needs to pull away from the Locust, gets a couple of the Hellbats as well, but again, that's really nothing too crazy here overall, as we do see Advanced Ballistics on the way out on the Liberators. So again, that's set up to go. And also just going to see this army of INnoVation now. So going to press forwards again. This is the sort of point at which INnoVation just starts to attack, and what do you do against this? I mean, there's so many Thors. There's actually nothing really from Solo's army that I look at and I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to work well. I mean, the Swarm Hosts maybe? There isn't a lot of Hellbats here. And actually, that's one of the issues we saw for INnoVation in one of the previous matches he played this style. He actually just didn't have any Hellions, so Zerglings on the reinforcements actually just cleaned him up. Also, it means the Locusts are going to do very well here as well. Ravager's dropping some corrosive bowels, and you do see the Lings and now Banes rolling in as well. There's Bane's going on a bit of a journey, mind you. They're really going for like the furthest possible targets. That means he loses a few of them as they try and run on in. Neuroparasite dropping down on the infestation pit on the upper side. Just get the BC kills. So that's all 3 battlecruisers killed. And after this first wave of fights, let's have a look at that resources lost tab. And you can see the efficiency Solo has traded with. He's killed all 3 battlecruisers now. He has been able to trade very well against the Thors, I would say, as well. And he's really been able to just trade well enough that actually he's still maxed out. INnoVation isn't actually quite able to max out again just yet, so bad fight or 2 from INnoVation, and now let's see what happens. We do see Lings going to start streaming in. Well, fortunately there's some more Hellbats, but then the Banes are going to crash through those pretty quickly. Then INnoVation might just be in some trouble trying to defend his left-hand side base already now. And the Ravager's crushing through the wall off. And then Solo will back away and wait for some more reinforcements. Neural Parasite coming up as well, so Solo's army is slowly improving. Adding on those Infestors. Neural Parasites can be great in those scenarios as he snipes down this base bottom side as well for Caustic Spray. Now, Neuro Parasite can be great. If you get the Neuro Parasite up and there's just, you take it in a position where the other units of the Terran player just can't quite get in range or can't quite get in reach, it goes, it's pretty crazy how well it can go for you. As you see the Zerglings still pressing forwards too. Here come the Locusts from Solar. Pressing in towards this. Those couple of siege tanks going to be picked off. And then the siege tank over here taking some damage as well. That's going to get picked off also, as we're going to be seeing these couple of Locusts going down. Again, the rest of the Locusts on the left-hand side getting picked off as well. Sensor Tower taking some more damage. Thor's tanks continue to set up. Another Sensor Tower at the front, and another Command Center also coming through. Eight more Bane lanes morphing in. His Soul's just going to keep up the pressure. I mean, denying bases like this, I mean, this is now not a planetary fortress as well. So denying base like this forces to be in orbital more easily picked off now. But overall, it's again trying to deny that idea of INnoVation being set up in towards a position where he's going to be able to get a lot of, you know, where he's going to be able to build up that bank to kind of rebuild and rebuild. And this fight right now is probably pretty good for INnoVation. Let's see. He loses all of the siege tanks. It kind of looked okay initially, but it really wasn't it? It kind of felt like those tanks were going to kill off more than they did. He's trading badly again, another 2,000 resources lost in Solar's favor. And that's just, again, it's adding up big time. You see these Thors pressing forward from INnoVation, going to go in after this hatchery, couple Zerglings trying to run through, so at least he will deny one of the bases of Solar. He's moving down the bottom side, these Lings keep streaming through. I mean, if this was a planetary fortress, this just gets repaired and it's no issue. But the fact it's only an orbital means that the Lings alone are doing more than you would ever really imagine them to. So the Locusts are going to try and cut off this army that was in the top side. INnoVation scans and sees the Locusts. He's going to keep on running. They land. They will die. They will go down there, as we are just going to see the Corruptors continue to go through. INnoVation, by the way, he's kind of mining enough because he's actually on 106 SCVs, which is maybe a bit too many. But the idea is not wrong, where he wants to try and outmine his opponent a little bit and take a lot of... I mean, now he wants to keep on fighting, so having an economy like this means he can keep on fighting and really just, again, like, outbuild over time. I mean, let's see if it works out for him, because Solar still has a bank, but if he drains that bank, he is finally going to be on a bit of a better spot. Let's see, I mean, a couple of the Hellbats coming through. Finally, the Locust Fire INnoVation's trying to back away, but he's moved Commander into Zerglings, which get us around, and Solar... well, at the same time, he's losing a lot of drones in the bottom right. He might lose another base, but again, he's just cleaned up a massive army in the top left-hand side. Now this army over here from INnoVation is more of a hit squad than an army, and it's just going to fall the second some units run at it. The only benefit here from INnoVation is that the Locusts are on cooldown from killing the previous army. Because if the Locusts were here as well, this army does nothing at all. Because there's no Locusts, maybe there's some hope to trade. I want to say somewhat decently. I mean, Bane's running into Sanks and that Thor isn't super efficient, right? So, again, I'm continuing to bring up this resources lost tab, and INnoVation has closed it down. He's brought it from a 6,000 resources lost difference to 4,000. So, a couple of fights going INnoVation's way. And now as he has so many workers across so many bases, that income advantage, I mean, gets lowered here because he's not actually mining from this base, and I guess he's oversaturated in a couple of places. He's definitely on too many workers just because he's lost this base and he doesn't have this base. But if he still had that bottom base, honestly, I mean, he's just got so much income. The income is still in INnoVation's favor, right? I mean, as it jumps back up here, that's a 1,000 income advantage, which is obviously a massive deal. So, Solar, he still has a bank, but I tell you what, he's actually running out of minerals faster than he's running out of gas. And that's maybe part of the issue. If he's going to still play a lot of Lings, etc., if he only has gas in the bank, that really can be problematic, as we're going to see these Thors try and join in. A couple of Hellbats, just not really the critical mass to clean up those Locusts super quickly. A couple of Bane's going to hit the mineral line. INnoVation tries to cut away, and needs to bring these SCVs back to repair, but then the rest of the Bane's showing up, and now INnoVation loses a base, and loses a lot of economy with this. But again, I'm not sure if that's an issue, 31 workers, because now he's still on a 9-worker lead. Don't think he needs to rebuild everything that he lost there. In fact, in a way, bringing up the supply might have done INnoVation a favor if he has the money to rebuild. But it is a good fight from Solar. I think resources lost is our best friend here to try and keep track of what's happening. But a 7,000 resource loss difference at the moment, as we're going to be seeing Solar coming back around towards the center. Getting set up and ready to go for another wave of attack. This time INnoVation hasn't really had the time to rebuild and remax, and that might be his bigger issue more than anything. But also I would like to say that obviously Solar's composition is obviously not that great either. It's going to be really buffered up by the Locusts, and there's really just a few Ravagers and Lings, but the Locusts really just buy so much time for these Ravagers to deal damage before it all gets cleaned out. There we go, by the way, 54 more Lings, and Solar is out of minerals. Bar what he is mining now, which is only 47 drones, because there's harassment around the map from some Liberators. So Solar's work count is way down in the gutter as well. So again, Solar can no longer really rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. Yes, he's got 4k gas in the bank, but that's kind of it. So Solar needs to start winning these fights really desperately. Otherwise, he's in trouble. A ling run by down here. We'll find INnoVation trying to mine off of a new base. I mean, Hellions and tanks coming over to fight this. Actually doing a pretty good job of fighting this as well. The more of these Zerglings you kill off right now as well, the more, again, minerals that are basically being killed. INnoVation needs this base though, because that's base number 6. His 5 bases 22 minutes into this game are now truly mining out. So you need to take this base on the bottom side. Otherwise, you're in so much trouble. And one of the things that will be so important for Solar is the Swarm Host, because in this low economy scenario where players are getting drained of bases, getting drained of drones and SCVs and whatever else, the Swarm Host will consistently provide damage output without costing Solar any money. So those Swarm Hosts really will become the backbone of this army again now in these scrappier scenarios. As INnoVation makes a push out across the upper side of the map, you can see the income still in INnoVation's favor. How crazy that is to see INnoVation trading that well over time. These tanks are a little bit later siege. He target fires the Swarm Hosts. Oh, but he's going to lose so many siege tanks in the process with Locusts. Well, that's an interesting choice, but it's not a bad choice per se. As these Hellbats get cleaned up, they take down 11 drones. Solar now has 35 workers remaining, and INnoVation is just on so few units, but he might make it work out if he can just keep mining a bit more than Solar can. Oh no, the base down here goes down to the Caustic Spray. The Corruptors show up. There is a bottom right base, which could be repaired against the Lings. There's no Banelings coming in. There is Banelings somewhere, right? We saw some more. No, they've been used already. Losing this base is a shame, but bottom right base could save INnoVation right now, as guess what's back? It's the Hellbats. They're going to kill off a Queen over here, get some more drones. Again, Solar's economy, he has just not rebuilt economy throughout the game, and that's one of the big issues he's having. And INnoVation, he's not repairing these bases anywhere near fast enough, and that's going to be another very important base for him going down. He's replacing the bottom side, but again, it's only with an orbital command, so it's so easily killed. Hellions are being picked off all around the map. INnoVation, he just needs to find a way to take a couple more fights, and honestly, I feel like he's almost there, because now the army combo of the Zerg is so much worse. It's 7, when you're talking about 102 army supplies, 7 of that's in Corruptors, which aren't doing much bar Caustic Spraying. The Swarm Host count isn't as scary as it has been. I mean, obviously Locusts really work well in high numbers, right? And you can see here, the Locusts go down so quickly now. And behind those Locusts, what is there? Well, a group of Ravagers that's also low. I mean, all of these, every unit works better in higher numbers, right? But Solar's really lost what we call the critical mass of each of his units, where when you hit a certain number, it becomes so much more powerful just because the way the unit works. And, for example, the Swarm Hosts aren't a critical mass anymore. They aren't doing anything. 9 Swarm Hosts Locusts, they just die too quickly to be, justifiably decent. The Ravager count isn't really that good, because then as it runs in behind the Locust wave, they're just not going to do enough to kind of justify the investment of the Locust as well. There's just so many little things here that have fallen apart from Solar. Let's see if he can make something happen as we go into what could be some of the final fights of the game, because INnoVation takes down the right-hand side base. Hellions run to the top base. More of these drones going down. Solar's going to go below 30 workers. Morphs in the Hellbats could kill this base if there's not a proper response. I mean, Zerglings want to run into this, but they can't. And now INnoVation takes the opportunity to clean out some creep into the middle of the map. A couple more siege tanks on the way out from him. Still mining from this orbital he's secured on the bottom side of the map, and it looks like he'll try and get a planetary fortress back on the top left-hand side too, so giving him some more options to mine from here at the start of this game, as we do see Swarm Host coming down the bottom. Hellions gathering up, going to go in after a Baneling. First Baneling gets picked off there. Now the Hellions going to go in after the Swarm Host. Even if they just force the Locust Wave, I think they would see that as a victory, because if you force a wasted Locust Wave, really just takes away one less fight that INnoVation has to deal with, even if those, Locusts aren't doing that much just yet. $50 workers from INnoVation, 26 from Solar. The income difference has been INnoVation's favor for so long. And it has slowly become a worse and worse trade from INnoVation. It went up from 4k to 7k, now it's at a 9k difference in resources lost. That's not enough, though, for Solar to make to come back from being half the worker kind of INnoVation for now a serious amount of time. I think it's fine if you drop down in workers for a while and you build back up, but Solar has consistently decided to rebuild army instead of resetting his worker count, and that's really where I think INnoVation has begun to win this game, because Solar's never had a good economy back online. Love this as well. Hellions just find themselves a Ravager. I mean, that's just such a great pickoff right now, considering the expense of a Ravager. That's 100 gas that just goes down. Oh my god, the Hellions just ran into Morphing Banes up here and they die. Hey, that's actually a lot of units lost from INnoVation. That's a pretty serious issue, because now he doesn't have really many Hellions on the map. So suddenly those Locusts might become a little bit better once again. INnoVation taking the opportunity to try defend the upper side of the map here, and meanwhile, Locusts come down the bottom. They're going to find 3 siege tanks for free. I mean, that's huge. Obviously, these Locusts, this is where this number of Swarm Hosts really do excel, stabbing at bases that doesn't have a group of units defensively on it. Tanks and Thors press on the top side. Swarm Host goes down. A couple of Ravages and a Baneling picked off as well. So Bars trying to come into play. INnoVation's army is smaller, or much smaller than Solar's, smaller than it has been for a while. Solar did rebuild up a couple of extra Swarm Hosts here. Locust going to pop out again. There's just no Hellbats in this army. That's why I'm real fear for this overall, is we're going to see the Locust dropping down. I think INnoVation might just get swept away here. Look at how much he loses, and he kills absolutely nothing. INnoVation takes one really bad fight, and that might be all Solar needs. It's now 14,000 resource loss difference, so INnoVation just lost 5,000 resources more than Solar. I keep bringing that up because in an economy game like this, it's how efficient you're trading that really matters. And INnoVation has just taken one really bad trade towards the end here. That was a fight he never should have taken. He didn't have the Hellions to back himself up, and now he just lost a whole mineral line of SCVs along with it. And that brings the economy scenario back in line to kind of Solar being maybe a little bit able to kind of fight this. Another wave of Locusts down the bottom. There's nothing to protect this base. Okay, the Hellions show up. They will protect this base at least. INnoVation morphs them into Hellbats. INnoVation is obviously just struggling on gas income as well, by the way, guys. There's not a lot of bases that he has left up that has gas mining on it. So he is much more Hellion / Hellbat heavy than his previous armies have been. So that's obviously an issue as well when this Roach Ravager count has built up over the last few minutes, because INnoVation hasn't taken any trades to clean it out. I mean, right now, those Hellbats fight the Ravagers on the own. The Thor was the only unit really there dealing damage. Now a tank gets caught. On the top side, INnoVation's running by, and there's only 13 drones left on the map from Solar. He has so little economy, but it doesn't matter if INnoVation can't hold his own bases and can't get an army up to fight it. And again, because INnoVation's remaining SCVs are all down here, that's it. INnoVation now has no economy of his own. He just lost the one army he had to keep alive, and after losing that, he's just not getting back in this game. There is a base coming up to the top side, but the thing is, at this point, Solar shouldn't slow down long enough to give INnoVation the return, enough time to build up the army, right? And there's just never going to be enough units to shut down all the Hellbats, etc. This is funny because this is obviously a a scan you just can't afford as INnoVation. Like, he kills one of the drones through friendly fire. He actually just can't afford to scan because he needs to drop every single mule in this base up here. The Locusts get a siege tank. This is where, again, Swarm Hosts are going to be absolutely incredible and trade so efficiently, because now there isn't enough units to properly deal with them. And obviously, over time, those Swarm Host Locusts are going to do so well. Corrosive Battles on the Ravagers. SCVs try to repair the tank. INnoVation down at 40 supply. Types out GG to give Solar the first game of this best of. Even if he just trades like 1 or 2,000 resources better off in that top fight, it might be enough to make it work still. That's how close that first game got in the end. Top left. Now, Red Terran player. This is INnoVation. And in the bottom right, our Blue Zerg is Solar. Well, that was probably one of the best games we've casted all month long, because that was high action mech versus Swarm Host, right? There was stuff happening around the map for the entirety of the half hour that game took to play out. That was great. Great first game. Couldn't ask for more. Game number 2, let's go. Let's see what happens. Best of 5 here, guys. Semifinals of the China Team Championship. Pre-season. This is just the pre-season. Remember, the main China Team Championship event to be announced for this year, but we're just basically waiting for confirmation on when. I was about to say WCS, but when ESL Pro Tour. Not obviously we know when the ESL Pro Tour events are, but obviously try and figure out when their qualifiers are for like the new version of Challenger and stuff. Once that's announced, I'm pretty sure the China Team Championship dates will be soon to follow, because they just want to avoid any clashes or any issues with that. They might also, I guess, maybe also waiting for the Korean leagues to announce some info. That's what I'm imagining here as we set this up. SCV making its way out down to the bottom, as we do have the spawning pool from Solar about to finish up, so that'll be completing in a moment or two. Couple queens for Zerglings on the way out. Again, getting this ready to go. Wardy, will this be on YouTube? Yeah, this series is going on YouTube. Even if the rest of these games, I mean, obviously this one's not Proxy Rex, but even if the rest of these games are 5 minutes long each, this series is on YouTube for that first game alone. So yes, it will be on YouTube. Probably in a few days' time. I've got some IEM qualifiers to finish uploading first. Once those IEM qualifier matches are finished, this is going to be the first video up. Absolutely guaranteed. Not a doubt in my mind. Reaper poking around. Command Center dropping in on the natural. We're going to see the factory dropping in as well in the main base. Reactor building on the barracks. Circling speed getting started. And we do just see the Reaper just coming out around the right-hand side. Third hatch dropping in on the bottom of the map too. Yeah, getting this set up and ready to go. A few extra drones coming into play. An Overlord popping out. Queen about halfway done here as well. A lot of build-up for the moment from Solar, who leads 1-0 in this best of 5 after, again, what a crazy, ridiculous first game to get us started. Just absolutely ridiculous. As we go into this game number 2, the Reaper from INnoVation will make its way into the main base. Just going to drop down a grenade. Has got already a Zergling kill on it, so... What is interesting is no fast 3cc from INnoVation, so a faster starport. INnoVation is going to go Fusion Course. He is just going to play in towards the Battlecruiser opening anyways. We've seen a tendency from INnoVation to kind of play a couple of fast 3cc BC stars in a row and then switch it up, but this time switches it up a little bit faster. But the idea is looking to be the same for the moment, in the sense that obviously we start off with the Fusion Core and the Battlecruiser. You can still take a fairly quick third base off of this. It just isn't as quick as going gasless, as going one gas 3cc. What is going to be important for to pay attention to in INnoVation's point of view is obviously that now the first Battlecruiser can be that much more aggressive, because the first BC is going to be able to teleport across the map. There's no threat of a lab being up and ready. As Solar scouts through, he will see the Fusion Core, and he will know this is a BC opening. Nice scout for Solar, considering he didn't invest into Overlord speed this time. And as INnoVation goes up into Hellions number 7 and 8, this doesn't look like your friendly neighborhood switch to bio. This absolutely looks as though INnoVation is very much so committed to building up BCs and playing into a mech style going into the mid-game. Alright, so a few Hellions just pressing forwards. Queen's very quick to come in and turn a few Hellions around from INnoVation as well, so those are going to get pushed back out toward the center of the map. 3 more Spore Crawlers on the way here from Solar. And that lair coming up is going to be done pretty soon as well, so obviously that's going to be the movement in towards the Corruptors to help deal with the BCs. Very similar to the previous game, as the Italians already dealing some decent damage here. First few Zerglings going down, not really anything too crazy. It's just a few Lings getting dropped. And a couple of factories on the way from INnoVation as well. It's going up in towards the 3 factories in total. You're going to see that BC teleports across the map. Straight on top of Queens, though. It's going to have to start pulling away to the side ASAP. Targeting down one of the Queens without much energy on it. Could have had a better target, but I think this BC has 0 intentions of sticking around the main base anyways. So I don't think he's really all too worried. He'll come out over here and he will find himself an Overlord that he can kill. So this Overlord should go down. No Queens here by the transfuse. Roaches and Lings pushing the Hellions back also. Obviously Hellion production continues here, and INnoVation, as the factories come up, he's not really done anything crazy. He's not dropped an armory, so we're not going to see like a Hellbat attack with this. It's just BC Hellion, and We'll see what he builds at the first 2 tech labs come up. Last time he did build a couple Cyclones early, and they did help a bit. They actually got a couple Corruptor kills throughout the course of the game, so maybe we'll do that again. Indeed he will. I think also if you have like a Roach Ravager burst, the problem is that the first 2 siege tanks, they don't do that well defensively because they just get bowed down so quickly. I'm not sure if that's really true based on how you would Roach Ravager burst this, but that might be part of the reason as well. I think it's mostly just because he's expecting Corruptors to be the major threat here initially, and especially if those BCs teleport home, then they don't have the teleport to get away if the Corruptors chase them home. Right? And that's where your new issue kind of comes around. There's going to be having the Hellions coming around the bottom. Hellions pulling away again. A couple of BCs coming in to get a couple of creep tumors. These queens continue to go running down the bottom. So yeah, just the Cyclones, if the BCs do end up teleporting home, makes a lot of sense as well. As you see a couple of queens starting to go down. And the Corruptor show up, he's just going to teleport out. He didn't actually get to use his Yamatos yet, right? So it didn't drop the Yamatos. I mean, the first BC was already pretty low. He definitely could have Yamatoed off this second BC. He probably could have Yamatoed off both, but just played a little bit safe. Maybe teleported before he realized how close Yamato was. Yeah, exactly like this. So this is where these Corruptors come across the map. And right now, if those BCs... Right now, those BCs are obviously just unable to teleport away if the Corruptors are in high enough number to take them down. So that's where the Cyclones are really nice. Something to just sturdy yourself and to really push those Corruptors back again if needed. And now INnoVation, just 2 more factories going into 2 more armories, and this mech style continues to set up. And +1 flyer attacks coming in on the Spire, 1/1 upgrades on the Evo chambers as well. We do have a 5th base. Sorry, a 6th base from Solo already coming up to the right side, so he's very quickly... No, it is a 5th base. I really can't count today. A 5th base coming over to the right side, so Solo really is just moving quickly up through the bases, getting himself onto, well, 83 drones already. Really good work account. There's the swarm hosts. Honestly, I think from Solo, not a lot to change in terms of the initial setup and how he got established in this game. I think the most importantly for him, the big thing you want to change here is probably a bit later on, be a bit better, maybe some static defense, help stop those Hellions taking down all of your drones, because that really was your issue. And then maybe a couple of the fights could have gone a bit better for you as well. Some of the earlier fights where INnoVation was actually able to take, trade and pull them back into the game a bit. But until then, I'm quite happy with Solo just kind of doing his own thing. This is actually nice. The Corruptors getting Yamatoed already before they're fighting. And that just means these BCs have a bit more freedom, because now as the Corruptors fly in, the BCs have already fired the Yamato, so they're just able to keep on fighting right away. And they'll just, well, that's a missed teleport. I think you want to teleport the low HP one, and then keep fighting with the other 2. But at the end of the day as well, the Queen was there and it was transfusion, so it's also like well, what am I really gaining from continuing to do this, right? Not really that much. Not really that much at all. As these Locusts pressing on in across the map, going to drop on down. And Siege Tanks here. Going to Siege to minimize friendly fire. He loses a tank or so. Nothing all too crazy. A couple SCVs dropping his Roaches. Make their own way over to this left-hand side. The BCs will be there to defend and deflect that. Does need a repair on this battlecruiser though. So needs to set that up, as we do have the Swarm Host pulling back down to the left-hand side here. First wave of Locust then was alright, but remember, this is what happened last time as well. The first few trades for Solar was a little bit actually inefficient, and it was INnoVation that traded better. It wasn't until INnoVation started losing those battle cruisers that Solo really started to trade quite well, as you do see the Locusts going to be pressing forwards. Just going to be dropping down. Planting Fortress here should be able to protect this Yamato's lineup, but that's a dead BC. And you try to repair the BC, which is actually going to cost him the command center as well. He has teleports available. He's just going to sit here with the BCs and let them drop. I mean, he teleports... What? Hello? He just teleported this next one forwards. INnoVation having a bit of a... Seems like he's a big miscontrol, really, right? I mean, this is absolutely not the way that this was meant to go, as now Solo has a few Roaches harassing on the right-hand side. More tanks setting up. Thor on the way out. And again, just going to see this Locust popping up and heading forwards. tanks a little bit unprotected because the Hellions just on here. That's what, 3-4 tanks going down. Locust still around. Now I dare not look at the resources lost because it's going to be disgustingly in favor of Solar. Quite heavily. As you see, Cryptus going on the right side. There's Thors over here, so these Cryptus shouldn't do that well. He's going to chase for the BC. INnoVation just losing a lot of stuff here early on, so Solar really putting himself into a strong spot. 3,500 resources in favor of Solar after these fights, so he has traded way better. If you look at the income tab here as well, Solar will be mining way more as well. He's got the bases set up. INnoVation's been denied bases, been losing workers. Here you go, these workers going to be dropping down again. This time, at least the Blue Flame Hellbats are here, so they are going to be able to do pretty well. A couple of Ravagers taking the opportunity to press forwards and drop a couple of Corrosive Biles. So this time the Locusts don't do anywhere near as much, but, you know, still a couple bits of damage being done. It all adds up as Hive Tech is here, Adrenal Glands is on the way, melee upgrades starting as you start to introduce some Ling Bane to this composition as well. INnoVation is finally up to 5 bases, but it's really taken him a lot of effort to get to these 5 bases. It has not been smooth sailing at all. And that means that Solar's just built up quite a comfortable bank. It's a very similar scenario to the last game, although maybe Solar a bit further ahead than he was in the last game at any point. But the scenario from here on out is the same. So can INnoVation find a way to turn this around? Can he find a couple of fights to bring him back into this? Well, let's find out, as we have got the army just sitting between the natural and the third base for the moment. Neosteel armor coming up, 2-2 vehicle weapons and plating coming in as well. Looking quite good here at the moment. We do see some extra factories building up from INnoVation, so that's going to be up to 8 factories in total. So we're really getting that production roll. As the 3 Hellions both on towards the creep spread, you're going to see first creep team goes down, the Locusts jumping up, and they're going to be advancing forwards again. Hellions should want to morph in towards the Hellbats here, or is it just going to stick in Hellion mode? It's just going to stick in Hellion mode. Meanwhile, the Bane's rolling in, so actually Hellion mode might not be a mistake if you actually do kite backwards, but then you didn't kite backwards. Of course, the Bars there actually missing the Siege Tank, and the Ravagers are pushed back. Yeah, and we see INnoVation just about kind of hanging on in there. Mining off of 96 SCV, so again, it's this sort of stage where he's going to start taking a bit of an income boost, but it's also this stage where he needs to take another base, right? At this point, there's no doubt about it. INnoVation absolutely has to take base number 6. Because if this is the style he wants to play, he doesn't win this game off 5 bases. You don't trade like this and then win off of 5 bases. It doesn't happen. He needs to win this game off of 6-7 bases at the very least. So setting up into that base is going to be so important to hold. Meanwhile, Thors go down the Locust over here, and again, Solar's just striking INnoVation everywhere he isn't paying attention. Command Center over here goes down to the Caustic Spray. And there's been a couple times where INnoVation just hasn't really responded to Caustic Sprays and, you know, attacks around the map, as we do see these Banelings crash in on the Thor. Another couple of Thors still fighting here. Cross the bars going down. Actually, I think INnoVation has just been broken, because now this forward position has been, you know, just isn't defended properly at all. And he's just not got the money to rebuild, and Solar's bank is barely being dented here. Solar just finding great trade after great trade. And INnoVation, after this game, it really might have to rethink how he's playing this. The thing is, though, when INnoVation thinks about how this is going, I don't think you look at this and you're like, God damn, my style doesn't work. I think you've got to look at this and say, God damn, I'm playing badly. Right? Because he's not responding to multi-prong aggression. He's not in position with the right units in the right places at any point. And time again, he's just taking bad trades because he's being outmaneuvered. He's being outpositioned, even though he has sensor towers up. Right? And that's what, you know, that's kind of the crazy thing. This didn't happen when he played against you. It didn't happen when he played against Rogue and the other day in the IEM qualifiers, etc. But it's happening right now. And so, like I say, it's kind of a tough call, because INnoVation, I don't think he says, oh, my style isn't working, let's completely change it up, maybe I play bio or something. It's just straight up. You know, he's not playing as well as he needs to play to beat Solar. Solar winning this one out. I mean, this base getting denied again. Locals drop down, killing off tanks and Thors. GG, Solar goes up 2-0. Ads don't quite sync up or so. Thank you so much again, Dark Ones, for that 4-year resub. That's freaking crazy. freaking crazy. Thank you so much, dude, for being a long-term supporter, a big supporter. I mean, you know everything you've done for the channel. You've been here from the start, which is the craziest part, right? Can't say thank you enough for that as we get into Game 3 of this best of 5. Let's start this off in the bottom right. Our Blue Zerg player from Triumphant Song Gaming up 2-0. This is Solar. Top left, our Red Terran player INnoVation. Game 3 of this best of 5 as we set this up and get this started. And what does INnoVation do differently then? Like I say, I really feel as though a lot of this isn't INnoVation. I don't feel it's like a strategy problem. I don't think it's a composition problem. I think he's not playing well. Right? I really just think he's not playing well. And I think a lot of people will hate me for it and they'll be like, ah, Zergs are so OP, you know, they made a swarm house. And like, you know, whatever, but he isn't responding to Corruptus caustic spraying bases. He's missing battlecruiser teleports that he should be able to hit. He's consistently got sensor towers showing him where the army is, and he's not leaving the right amount of units in the right places to deal with it. Right? There's just not a lot. There's just not a lot that convinces me that this is more than just INnoVation needs to sharpen up and start playing a little bit better. And we know INnoVation's like this, you know, sometimes I would say INnoVation inconsistency has always been a thing. Although he usually has it over longer periods, right? Usually he shows up and for a year it's like, well, INnoVation, you know, yeah, he plays Terra and he's pretty darn good, and on any given day he could beat anyone, but he's not making championship runs very regularly. And then the next thing you know, he's in like the finals of every freaking tournament and he looks unstoppable for like a few months straight. So we've known this about INnoVation, and just recently it's been the same, because in the first few IEM qualifiers, INnoVation looked terrible, right? You know, he'd lost to Zauno 3, you know, he lost to somebody else in the he just looked awful. Like, it was just like, well, yeah, INnoVation, he's just got no chance of qualifying. And then he showed up in the second Korean qualifier, and he actually played amazingly. It's like he sat down and practiced all week long, and said, well, shit, I'm not playing well right now. I need to play a lot better if I'm going to qualify to Katowice. And yes, he still fell, he still didn't make it, but the difference in his level between week 1 of qualifiers and week 2 was ridiculous. And right now, it does just feel as though that is slipping a little bit today, even compared to yesterday, where he felt like as though he was so on top of a lot of what was happening in the TvZ against Sort of. He was so on top of what was happening in the TvT against Cure. He had some great plays. Great killer instincts. And here now again just feels like he's making a lot of mistakes. And yet he was almost able to win that game 1, because obviously Solo made quite a few mistakes as well, and it became one of those crazier games. But yeah, this is getting a bit crazy, a bit weird. We're going to be seeing the Fusion Core finishing. I was going to say Hyperflight Rotors for some reason. We're obviously not going to see Hyperflight Rotors. We're just going to see a Battlecruiser starting. The Banshee is just a startup, just in case there's an Overlord Scout that comes in. You can kind of try and fake the idea that it's not a BC based on like the timing or so, but Solo's seen the 3CC, he's seen the Starport of Attack Lab, he's seen the extra factory, so actually Solo pretty much knows everything anyways as we get going here on Nightshade. Setting this up. A couple of extra factories dropping down there. The weapon refit will start up on the Fusion Core as well. So getting this ready to go as well as the lab. Finishing up in the main, a few extra drones coming out, and now some more spore crawlers coming in across the 3 bases. Scanning the spores in across the 3 bases right now. We're going to be seeing the infestation pit dropping down to the left-hand side of the 3rd base. And the Overseer from Solo just setting up out the front as well. Roach Speed starting to. Nuclear Chamber going to be complete, and an Extractor finishing in the main. And just watching that Fusion Core just tick away. Yamato getting ready to roll. There's a couple of Queens. We'll press forwards. A couple of Creep Tumors going down. It's nice actually. Just park your Hellions and Reaper there. They get a couple of free Creep Tumor kills. Take that any day of the week. few queens hanging out the front, as we will see the battle cruiser of INnoVation making its way across, as we talked about in the first game. Because it's the later BC, you actually don't have the teleport across the map, because there could be already, Corruptors building. In this case, Solo skips the Spire and he's going to go straight to Swarm Hosts. This will be interesting because it's much faster Swarm Hosts. INnoVation doesn't really have a lot immediately that looks good against Swarm Hosts. And there's going to be 12 of them very early in this game. I mean, this is 6.5 minutes again, 12 Swarm Hosts out. It works because there's no pressure INnoVation can apply to kill you before they're here. And there's no counter pressure INnoVation can apply when the Locust Wave goes out and gets cleaned up. He can't just push across the map and counter, and that's why he can build these Swarm Hosts so quickly in this scenario as Solar. A couple of BCs will press out the front again. INnoVation is a bit blind to this at the moment, as he is going to see all these queens in the front run. I mean, that's immediately got to tell him something aggressive is going on. He will Yamato down a couple of them, although lower energy queens. I think he just saw the Swarm Host for the first time right now, and he's going to fight these queens until he has to teleport backwards. Might not even have to teleport, actually gets that queen kill. I mean, the big thing is, though, if these BCs survive this and they can come in and kill off these queens, the BCs then do clean up everything else. So at some stage, you're kind of expected to get Corruptors here still as Solo. Otherwise, how are you going to do this? I do like the fact that he's been able to clean up a lot of the queens already, because now it really feels as though the rest of these queens will not do enough to fight these BCs. And as a third BC pops, while Solo's already moving his way back towards the creep spread, he will drop down a Spire. And this is actually pretty well defended. The Storm Host Locust going in towards the Hellbats. Not really a lot killed. Yeah, but guess who's coming back, BCs? Guess what? You don't have to wait for the teleports to be aggressive again, because it's queens. You can back away very quickly yourself. You don't need to rely on the teleport to get you out of here safely. And right now, these Swarm Hosts are going to take a lot of damage. I mean, that's 3 Swarm Hosts that get killed off. This first BC starts to fly away. A couple of corrosive fires. He actually moves back into those. He's actually not target firing very well. If he target fired a bit better, he would have already gotten rid of these queens. Corrosive fire's going to kill a BC. Yeah, it just goes down. The queen should have already been dead if he target fired properly, but he didn't. That was one of the issues there. Sorry, didn't watch the Locust Wave, but that didn't do much. This Overseer goes down as well. So he's lost one BC just through, again, a bit of recklessness, a little bit carelessness when it comes to the micro and paying attention. Now we have these Swarm Hosts still set out the front. 2 BCs from INnoVation going to be moving down into the center here as well. And you will see a bunch of Locusts from Solar jumping up into the sky, starting to press forward. So they're going to be coming on through in towards, again, this round of Hellbats. Let's see what happens. He's going to jump down, try and target down the siege tanks, and he gets one of the 2, I guess, one of the 3. Another couple go low, but that's kind of about it. Well, now the BC's flying across, however, Corruptors are going to be up, but there's teleports available, so when he sees those Corruptors, it should just be the Yamato cannon and teleports kind of does scenario. He has one of the Yamatos off, the other one he does not. He'll wait for the second one. And again, this is the scenario where you just teleport away afterwards, so Yamatos teleports. Solo's still sitting aggressively out up this top side, looking for any opportunity. INnoVation, this is where he's going to start being in some trouble in terms of, taking, damage, because he's going to start pressing out a little bit more. And this is where typically, obviously, becoming more of an issue. Tanks not siege right now. Okay, well, there's actually a few tanks that are siege. Tanks here trying to focus fire down the road, Ravager and all of this. The Corruptors will come in, and they will get the battle cruisers to start this off as well. So we'll be pushed back just a little bit here. I tell you what, there's only a couple Corruptors left over, and they're not doing so hard. And with the missile turret here, they can't do much else either. However, this 4th base from INnoVation is unlikely to get set up and ready to go. And now a few of these SCVs getting found in port as well. And that's going to be just a little bit costly. Solar maxed out. INnoVation trailing behind by about 60 or so supply. I think that's okay. I feel like that's a somewhat manageable amount. The biggest issue is this is really nice. He gets a lot of shots off of the tanks before the Locusts drop down. The biggest issue is just that he's not had the tanks siege up a couple of times, and well, now maybe he just actually doesn't have the units. These roaches try and break on through. PCs go down to the Corruptors, and I think that's just it. I think Solo's going to take this 3-0. INnoVation's like, even INnoVation's like, question mark, how are you just breaking me so easily? How do you have so much stuff? Some question marks in the chat, guys. We have GG called. Solo will take a 3-0. I think the series went downhill after that first game, but it was going to be hard not to. And Solo just with I like the fact he changed this up a little bit. I just feel like INnoVation's style, it's obviously the weakest part of INnoVation's style. If he gets broken down like here before he at least gets 4 bases, and then the next hurdle is getting to bases number 6 and 7. It's a really tough one to call. GG solo takes it 3-0, and we'll advance to the grand